I do want to make mention of a couple of my favorites where one guy said, I stood behind Vince Russo in a stairwell in Atlanta in 2006, just a few weeks before he took the TNA job, and if I'd have known about it, I could have pushed him down the stairs and saved the wrestling business. That was a good one. Also, there was another one that said, Jim Cornette, I'm a born-again Christian, so fuck you. I love that one. I love that one. But a lot of great feedback. They called Vince Russo and TNA more names and descriptive phrases than I've ever even thought of. And I just appreciate that all those wrestling fans who truly love wrestling were there to support me in my moment of trial and tribulation. But also, I've heard that Vince Russo now, I guess this guy's got to be having just all kinds of mental anguish on him as a result of the fact that he's totally unsuited and unfit for his job. Because now, have you heard this, Tommy? Have you read this on the internet? He's saying he's going to move to Nashville, and which I know he hates because he hates anything to do with the South, and he wouldn't do it except he's probably scared of being fired because he always said he hated living in Georgia. He hates the South. He's a Yankee through and through, and the only reason he moved to Colorado was probably because he wanted to get away from everybody that wanted to do him harm. But Vince Russo says he's tired of booking, and he wants to take another job in TNA and some other department. Have you heard that?
No, I haven't heard that yet.
That was all over the internet, that he's burnt out on booking because he's upset and he's frustrated with all the wrestlers constantly arguing with him and trying to change his stuff and rewrites needing to be done the day of the show. And my response to that is, well, if he did it right the first time, they wouldn't be up. But since they're upset at that this is their lives and their careers and they're the ones that have to go out and perform this foolishness, of course they're going to argue. That's what I went through for 3 years. That was the hardest part of my job, was having to go, as I've mentioned, to the wrestlers and tell them what he expected them to do and listen to their reactions and responses. And as long as, when Jeff Jarrett was there, I was able to then go and tell him what the wrestlers wanted to do instead and get it authorized. I changed his stuff because, somebody had to. There'd have been a massive, boycott of all the wrestlers. So if his stuff was any good, he wouldn't have to worry about all this last-minute arguing. Secondly, I understand also that, he writes these books that nobody reads, where he talked about in his book about, I've done, the wrestling business has done me so much harm. It's taken so much time of me away from my family and done me and my family so much harm trying to write these fake wrestling scripts for these people that didn't appreciate it. Well, I got news for you, Mr. Russo. This is not a threat. This is just an observation. Maybe everybody in the wrestling business wouldn't hate your filthy, stinking fucking guts so bad if you didn't talk like that about them, if you didn't talk like that about their profession, if you didn't talk about fake wrestling every chance you got. Oh, woe is me. I'm just trying to write these fake wrestling scripts for these people that don't appreciate what I'm doing for them. What you're doing for them? How many careers has he shortened or ended or ruined as a result of this falderall? And now it's all put upon Mr. Russo. But anyway, enough of him. The thing is, he looks at the wrestling fans who enjoy wrestling like a bunch of insignificant marks that don't have a life because they criticize the fact there's no wrestling on a wrestling program. When's the last time you went to a football game and they played 5 minutes of football in 3 hours? Think there'd be some problems there? He's always upset about the wrestling fans. He's always knocking the wrestlers. He's always talking about the business being fake and phony. And then he wonders why nobody likes it. I got news for him. The things that I said in public are not anything near what I've heard said in private about him from people inside and outside the business and even in his own company.
It's kind of, for me personally, was to get along with them because, Hunter, mostly, because whipping his ass would get me fired. That would have got me fired. You beat him up, you get fired. And I wasn't about to sacrifice, the career that I had and taking care of my kids and my family at the time for whipping his ass. So, I kind of just, whatever. Just let it blow off. Just let it blow. But I promise you, I promise, if he were to come up to me and say something, I'd beat his fucking brains in.
Yeah.
Because he's a no good motherfucker. If you and I'll say this just to kind of level it out. He's got talent. He is. I don't take none of that away. He does have talent and he can work. But when you can do that, when you can bring other guys with you and bring other guys to that point to make the whole company better, why would you not do that?
Yes,
but when you have somebody that, if you have like us, for example, wanting to get up to that next level, but he was always fucking jerking that shit right out from under you. Sit there and talk to you. Hey, you guys are doing great. You guys are over like a motherfucker. Turn right around. Hey, them guys are in the fucking bath and shooting shit. They're fucking smoking shit. They're doing. Where the fuck? Why? Why? When you can let your talents just speak for you. Why do you fucking do that? Because he wants to sit on top alone. That's right. Bad things happen to bad people. That motherfucker passed me on the way down. When he's not married to the boss's daughter, or he's fucking in trouble or something, and he fucking bypasses me in the airport, I'm gonna fucking knock his
And
fucking
what's up with
dick
that
out.
mustache?
Politically, you guys don't click, and politically, I believe if I've ever seen anybody, including Stone Cold, have Vince more wrapped or in the palm of his hand, it's Shawn Michaels. I don't know if it's a sexual deal they got going on, because I've heard this about both of them. I don't know what it is. But that Shawn Michaels got away with more crap than I've seen from anybody.
Just the way
Matter of fact,
Vince
when they got
looks.
the hair fight pulling match between him and Bret Hart, and believe me, if everybody would have broken up, Bret Hart would have.
You would have killed Shawn.
But the thing is, they're both pulling hair, and there's Pat Patterson going, fuck help. I'm going, Dad, I don't break up fights. I said, I don't want anybody breaking up mine either. And so, right there was the end, the beginning of the end for Bret Hart. That's because that tells me something. To me, as a heterosexual man, tells me maybe there's something going on with these two, where after 17 years of Bret Hart, who stayed there, worked there every day, worked his ass out, and didn't get time off with phony injuries like Shawn Michaels. I could never understand it. I said, there's something going on here. I think it's a, I used to call it a ball and cock contract. You might want to print that. You might, I don't know.
No.